Everyone wants a simple solution for a better body and a more effective full-body workout. You have seen those viral challenges that promise a complete transformation by doing one single movement for 30 days. But the truth is that most people are focusing on the wrong movements and getting zero results because they stick to what is comfortable. I decided to analyze the data behind one of the most controversial bodyweight exercises in existence to see if it actually works for fat loss. The common belief is that you should never squat past parallel because it will ruin your joint health and destroy your knees. But elite movement experts and recent biomechanical studies suggest that a deep squat is actually the secret to pain-free movement and superior leg strength. I committed to a 30-day challenge of 100 repetitions every single day to see if this approach could trigger significant fat loss and improve my functional fitness. This was not just about following a daily routine, but about testing a high-intensity at-home workout with no equipment required. We will find out if this simple strength training approach is truly a secret weapon or just another fitness myth. But before we get into the results, you need to understand the physical toll this took during the first week of this journey. My starting weight was 185 pounds, and my waist measured 36 inches. I felt like I was in decent shape before I started this functional movement experiment. But within the first 48 hours, I realized that my body was not as prepared as I thought. The first day of the challenge required me to break the 100 repetitions into smaller, manageable sets. I chose to perform 4 sets of 25 repetitions to maintain my form and focus on squat mobility. A deep squat requires you to let your hips drop far below your knees while keeping your chest up and your heels flat. It sounds like a basic part of a daily exercise routine. But for most people who sit at a desk all day, this position is incredibly difficult to achieve. By the second day, my quads and glutes were in a state of constant rebellion. But the intensity of the fire in my legs made every single step feel like a massive chore. I started to question the advice of the experts who claim this is a beginner-friendly movement. But I remembered the research which shows that deep squats actually improve knee stability over time. Many people avoid this movement because they fear injury. But the real danger often comes from having weak joints and a limited range of motion. I spent the first week fighting through the pain and trying to correct my form. My ankles were stiff, which made it hard to stay balanced during each repetition, but I focused on sitting back into the movement, as if I were reaching for a low chair. I even filmed myself to see where I was failing, but looking at the footage only made me realize how much mobility training I truly needed. By the end of the first week, I had completed 700 repetitions. The initial shock was starting to wear off, but the real test of this bodyweight training was only just beginning. We will show you the real secret measurement that changed my entire perspective in a minute. But first, we have to talk about the adaptation phase. During the second week, my body finally started to accept its new reality. The debilitating soreness from the first 7 days began to fade into a dull ache. I started to find a natural rhythm that allowed me to fit the exercise into my daily routine without much thought. I would perform 50 repetitions in the morning as part of my morning mobility training. But I would save the final 50 repetitions for the evening to help me wind down. I started to notice that I was feeling stronger in ways that had nothing to do with the mirror. My hips felt more open and my stride felt more powerful during my morning walking workout. I was beginning to see the benefits of full body mobility in every single movement I made. But the mental challenge of doing the same thing every single day was starting to set in. Doing 100 repetitions of the same movement can become incredibly boring. I decided to mix things up to keep my mind engaged and my muscles guessing. Some days I would focus on a very slow tempo to increase the time under tension, but other days I would add a small weight to turn it into a strength-building session. Even without a gym, this was becoming a very effective at-home workout. I noticed that my core strength was improving because I had to stabilize my torso during every deep repetition. My body was becoming more efficient at the movement, but I still was not seeing a huge change on the scale. I want to take a quick second to ask you a question. What is the one fitness goal you have been struggling to reach this year? Please leave a comment below with your question or your goal so we can discuss it. By the time I reached the halfway point, I had completed 1,500 repetitions. I was halfway through the grind. But the hardest part was actually the third week where the novelty completely disappeared. This is where most people quit their home workout programs because the excitement is gone. I found myself having to rely on pure discipline rather than motivation. There were nights when I was exhausted from work and just wanted to go to sleep. But I knew that if I missed even one day, the entire experiment would be ruined. I remember one specific night when I was traveling for work and stuck in a tiny hotel room. It was nearly midnight and I still had 50 repetitions left to do. I did not want to move, but I forced myself to get on the floor and finish the set. This consistency is what builds long-term results in any strength training program. I started to notice that my other activities were becoming much easier. My low-impact cardio sessions felt more like a breeze because my legs were becoming so resilient. I felt like I had discovered a way to improve my joint health while also building muscle. The constant bracing required for each repetition was doing wonders for my core strength. I felt tighter around my midsection even though I was not doing any specific abdominal exercises. But I was still worried that the scale was not moving fast enough. I will reveal the surprising visual changes that happened to my body in just a moment. By week 4, I was moving like a machine. The deep squat had become a natural part of my body weight exercises. I no longer had to think about my form because my muscles knew exactly what to do. My heels stayed glued to the floor and my chest remained upright without any effort. I had achieved a level of squat mobility that I never thought was possible for me. I was finishing the 100 repetitions faster than ever before, but I made sure to never sacrifice quality for speed. I wanted every single repetition to count toward my final goal of fat loss and muscle gain. The final day arrived and I felt a massive sense of relief. 3,000 repetitions were finally complete. I had survived the physical pain and the mental boredom of the daily routine. But now it was time to see if the effort had actually paid off in the way I hoped. I stepped onto the scale with a lot of anticipation. My starting weight was 185 pounds. My final weight after 30 days of daily exercise was 184 pounds. I had only lost 1 single pound. I felt a wave of disappointment wash over me. But I remembered that weight is only one small part of the story. I picked up the measuring tape to see what had happened to my waist. My waist had gone from 36 inches down to 34.5 inches. I had lost 1.5 inches off my midsection in just 30 days, but my hip measurement had not changed at all. I was confused by these numbers until I looked at the progress photos. The visual difference was shocking. My legs looked significantly more muscular, and my quads had a lot more definition. But the biggest change was in my glutes, which looked lifted and much stronger. I had achieved a classic body recomposition where I lost fat and built muscle at the same time. The scale did not move much because muscle is more dense than fat. But my body looked completely different and my clothes were fitting much better. This proved to me that deep squats are a powerhouse for bodyweight training. They are a joint-friendly way to build a functional and aesthetic physique at home. I had improved my leg strength and my full body mobility while also reducing my waist. But it is important to remember that you cannot spot reduce fat. Doing squats did not specifically burn the fat off my waist, but the intense nature of the exercise increased my overall metabolism. This turned my body into a more efficient calorie-burning machine even while I was resting. The strength-building benefits were far more valuable than the number on the scale. I also felt a huge improvement in my daily movement patterns. I could move through my day with more energy and less stiffness in my joints. But I would not recommend that everyone starts with 100 repetitions a day. If you are a beginner, you should start with smaller sets of 12 to 15 repetitions. Focus on your form and listen to your body to avoid overtraining. The goal is to feel stronger and move better without causing unnecessary pain. You can incorporate these into any home workout or use them as a standalone daily routine. Consistency is the most important factor for seeing these kinds of results. I proved to myself that I could stick to a difficult challenge and come out stronger on the other side. The mental discipline I gained was just as important as the physical muscle, but the physical changes were definitely a welcome bonus of the hard work. If you want to see a real change in your body, you have to be willing to do the work that others avoid. Deep squats are a simple and effective tool for anyone looking to improve their health. I hope my experience helps you decide if this is the right move for your fitness journey. But remember that nutrition also plays a massive role in how your body changes. I am glad I took the risk and tried this challenge for 30 days. It changed my perspective on what is possible with just body weight exercises. I feel more mobile and more powerful than I have in years. But now it is time for you to take the next step in your own fitness journey. If you found this helpful and want to see more experiments, please subscribe to the channel. I have a whole series of videos designed to help you reach your goals. Go ahead and watch the next video in the playlist to keep learning and growing.